All right, it is the 12th of December, meaning Kenyans are celebrating 60 years since we became a republic. Is there anything to smile about? Well, if you ask opposition leader, that is Raila Odinga, it is a sad state of affairs. If you ask President William Ruto, things are looking up and the country is moving in the right direction. Welcome to the program tonight. My name is Brian Amuai. This is the Bottomline KE. We do welcome your feedback on this particular program. Start engaging us on our socials. That is on Twitter, our formerly X, at Lookuptv. On Facebook, we are at Lookuptv. Tell us exactly where you are watching us from and what you think about the stories that we are running today. And we'll be sampling your feedback as we continue with the program tonight. Now, tonight, we do have so much lined up for you, from stories making headlines during the day, and that has to do with the Jamhuri Day celebrations. We'll be looking into the speech of President William Ruto, especially on the issue to do with the visa-free Kenyans. Exactly what does that mean for the country, and also other stories that were making headlines during the Jamhuri Day celebrations. Later on, we'll be having a conversation, taking stock of 60 years a republic. Is there anything really to smile about? My guests are already on their way, coming to have that conversation here in studio. But first, these are the top stories tonight. On the bottom line tonight, President William Ruto declares that Kenya will be a visa-free country from January 2024 to all African visitors as Kenya marks 60 years of independence. Also tonight, no Kenyan shilling will be lost through corruption, President William Ruto vows. And Kenya is safely out of debt distress, with inflation significantly reduced from 9.2 to 6.8%, says President William Ruto, as he counts the gains made by government 60 years on. Now the hashtag is the Bottomline KE. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Philista Adundo. Now let's begin with the top story tonight. President William Ruto has said that by the beginning of 2024, Kenya will be a visa-free country. Now, he was speaking on Tuesday during the 60th Jamhuri Day celebrations at Uhuru Gardens in Nairobi. Let's take a listen. A Jamhuri Day celebration gift.
We are the first home of all humanity, and we joyfully embrace our ancestral task of welcoming humanity home. The home of humanity, he says. And to put that into action, President William Ruto opened the doors of Kenya to the African continent, announcing on Tuesday that starting January, the nation will be visa-free for all Africans, noting that this will spur socio-economic growth. Beginning January 2024, Kenya will be a visa-free country. It shall no longer be necessary for any person from any corner of the globe to carry the burden of applying for a visa to come to Kenya. This means that people intending to visit Kenya will not need to apply for visa. Ruto further said to implement the new policy, the government has developed a new digital platform that will ensure all travelers to Kenya are identified in advance on an electronic platform. To implement this new policy, we have developed a digital platform to ensure that all travelers to Kenya are identified in advance on an electronic platform. Consequently, all travelers will obtain electronic travel authorization as they come to Kenya. Visa abolishment has been on the president's bucket list. On Saturday, Ruto explained that for 10 years, it has been his dream to abolish visa requirements for visitors to Kenya. Abolishing visa requirements, the president said, will further boost economic integration on the continent. Our world, ladies and gentlemen, our world and the good in it belongs to those who are not shy to embrace globalization. Kenyans have shown time and again that we are not afraid of the world beyond our borders. We venture abroad fearlessly and warmly welcome our visitors from near and
Kenya becomes the second country in Africa to open its borders recently after Rwanda, joining other nations like Benin, Gambia and Seychelles that had opened its borders earlier. Before waiving visa requirements for all nations, Kenya had recently lifted visa requirements for Indonesian nationals. This made Indonesia join Senegal and Congo as the countries that Kenya has had visa-free agreements with in recent months. Comoros is also set to link in a similar agreement with Kenya by the end of the year. Brian Amuai, Lookuptv, Nairobi. All right, still on matters Jamhuri Day celebrations, President William Ruto has vowed that no single Kenyan shilling will be lost in embezzlement or corruption. Now speaking at the 60th Jamhuri Day celebrations, Ruto called on the judiciary and anti-corruption agencies to discharge their mandate without fear, favor, ill will or prejudice. Now the president has also assured that all taxes collected by the state shall be put to their intended use. Henry Tende files the following report.
In his speech while overseeing his second Jamhuri Day celebrations at Huru Gardens, President William Ruto has defended high taxes levied on Kenyans, saying such is necessary to guarantee development in the country. President Ruto has, however, assured Kenyans their taxes will be accounted for, sounding a warning to corrupt officers that his government will deal with them mercilessly.
All taxes collected by government shall be put to their intended use, and that no Kenyan shilling shall be lost through embezzlement, theft, or corruption.
To ensure transparency in the way public funds are collected and administered, President Ruto now says all government payments will be centralized on one pay bill on the e-Citizen platform and has urged all government parastatals and institutions to migrate their services to the e-Citizen platform by latest 31st December this year.
It is most important that we sustain this progress in promoting integrity, transparency, and efficiency in resource management. And for this reason, I direct that all agencies observe the December 31st deadline to finalize the migration to e-Citizen platform.
To guarantee success of the war on corruption, the head of state has instructed the judiciary, the police department and the ESEC to work in collaboration to ensure all corrupt officers are prosecuted.
I urge our justice, law and order institutions led by the judiciary and the anti-corruption agencies to discharge their mandate without fear, favor, ill will, or prejudice.
The president has also made a personal undertaking to offer unequivocal support to efforts directed towards fighting corruption.
I also give my personal undertaking to support the timely prosecution of all those involved in corruption without regard to their social, economic, ethnic, political status or connection or any other consideration whatsoever.
With this assurance, all eyes will now be fixed firmly on his administration to see whether he will live true to his undertaking of slaying corruption in his government. Henry Tende, Lookuptv.
All right, now Kenya is safely out of debt distress. This is according to President William Ruto in his address as the country marked 60 years of independence. And as Ian Kitani now reports, Ruto attributed to the stabilization of the country's economy to policies implemented by his administration, while highlighting steps made in key sectors including education, agriculture and health.
With the Kenya Kwanza administration under fire from the opposition regarding the deteriorating economy, President William Ruto now says the economy is on the right trajectory. The inflation rate, according to the head of state, is now down to 6.8%, up from 9.2%. However, the president admitted the savings to GDP is low, with millions still remaining unemployed.
I can now confirm, without fear of any contradiction, that Kenya is safely out of the danger of debt distress and that our economy is on a stable footing. The economic indicators point to good news. Inflation is now 6.8%, down from a high of 9.2% a year ago. In the last 6 months, our GDP has grown at a rate of 5.4%.
With the education sector key on President William Ruto's agenda, the government has set aside an extra 127 billion shillings to cater for different functions. Top among them hiring of at least 56,000 more teachers.
We have increased the total allocation to our education sector by an additional 127 billion this year to cover the chronic classroom deficit in the city of Nairobi. We have undertaken to build 3,500 additional classrooms in the city of Nairobi, with the first 1 billion allocated in this year's budget.
Despite the court raising questions regarding the housing levy, President William Ruto highlighted the importance of the housing program, with over 100,000 youths having secured jobs under the program.
Our housing program is fundamentally a massive, deliberate and systematic job creation mechanism. Apart from the thousands of direct employment opportunities in construction and associated services, the housing scheme directly supports the formal and informal manufacturing of materials.
In his address during the Jamhuri celebrations, President Ruto also highlighted steps made in agriculture and health sectors, heaping praise on the new health acts as it seeks to ensure Kenyans can access affordable healthcare.
The laws we have enacted now provide a framework in the Emergency, Chronic and Critical Illness Fund that will liberate the people of Kenya from the burden of catastrophic hospital bills in the treatment of conditions like cancer, diabetes, hypertension, and other critical and chronic conditions.
President Ruto also emphasized the steps made by the government to ensure county assemblies are autonomous and do away with overdependence from county governments, while praising the judiciary in its quest to ensure justice is served to everybody.
Proposals currently before Parliament on the enhancement of the autonomy of our county assemblies prove that our assemblies at the county level are also making encouraging progress in their maturation into independent watchdogs, policymakers, and representatives of people at our counties.
Ian Keitani, Lookuptv.
Now, President William Ruto has feted Faith Kipyegon with the Elder of the Order of the Golden Heart of Kenya award during the National Jamhuri Day celebrations. Ruto also lauded the Sports Ministry for the success of Talanta Hela and providing opportunity for young talents in the country.
President William Ruto is proud of the steps the Talanta Hela initiative has taken since its launch made this year. Delivering a speech during the Jamhuri celebrations, he recognized athletes who made Kenya visible in the world through winning international race awards.
We are also rolling out our world-beating athlete, Faith Kipyegon, the rank and status of Elder of the Order of the Golden Heart. I equally salute Ferdinando Manyala, Mary Mora, Kevin Kiptum, Emmanuel Wanyonyi, Faith Cherotich, who have also registered their presence in the world stage, and they too will be feted.
Finally, the thirst of young people to get employment within the creative field may be quenched after a successful signing of agreement with well-recognized companies that are thriving, especially in developed countries. Ruto revealed Kenya's collaboration with Hollywood come next year.
The famous Grammy Awards have a partnership with us, and starting January, the Innovation Studios of Hollywood have agreed to begin shooting multiple movie rights here in Kenya.
Additionally, President William Ruto continued to laud efforts put by the youths, announcing that they have already signed a contract with Google company to employ about 42,000 teachers, provide training in computer programming, a training that is marketable for job opportunities.
Kenya. Google, in collaboration with the Ministries of Education and ICT, has begun implementing a Kenya Institute of Curriculum Education sponsored coding program in primary and secondary schools.
Nonetheless, Facebook and Instagram content creators will now have the ability to earn a living since Meta has agreed to empower youths by monetizing their content.
I have good news for our creatives and those who imagine and produce content through Facebook and Instagram. Just yesterday, Meta committed to helping creators in Kenya earn money for crafting original content.
Ruga Ival, Lookuptv.
All right, time to take a short break here on the Bottom Line. Continue engaging us on our socials at Lookuptv, that is on Facebook and on X, and also on YouTube. We'll be sampling your feedback as we continue the program tonight. Later on, we'll be having a conversation on taking stock of the nation 60 years since we became a republic. Don't go too far. We'll be back in a moment.
Msimu huu wa Krismasi, mambo ni mega. Sherehekea Krismasi na Lotto Wins. Mwezi huu kuna magari ya kushindaniwa, guaranteed millions, 100k holiday shopping vouchers na mbuzi za Krismasi. Up to 40 million to be won in the hourly draws and a grand prize of 200 million every Wednesday and Saturday. Ndani ya 200 million mega jackpot. Cheza Lotto sasa. Ingia kwa M-Pesa Paybill 777000. Account Look. Amount shilingi 50 hadi shilingi 2000. Usiseme Merry Christmas. Sema Lotto Mega Christmas.
Over 18s only. Gaming can be addictive. Play responsibly. This message has been approved by the BCLB.
Changamka, cheza Lotto.
Are you a junior secondary school, a college, a TVET institution or a university and you want to advertise your intake? Book now and advertise with us today on both Lookuptv and all our digital platforms. Call us today or email us on sales@lookuptv.co.ke.
What about mambo fantastic if not scholastic? Chota kuchota na heti ya supermarket imerudi. Ukifanya tu shopping ya shilingi 1000, wewe unaingia kwa promotion ya chota kuchota na heti ya supermarket. Watu wanaendelea kushinda ndani ya heti ya supermarket. Mwana tata kitoko. Wewe na umeshinda nini? Hamsa, karibu ndani ya heti ya supermarket uweze kuchota kwa wingi kabisa. Watu wanasema nini? Nakwambia kwamba chota kuchota. Unangoja nini?
Magari 7 za kushindaniwa, TV, fridge, microwave, shopping vouchers, school fees vouchers, instant prizes na zawadi zingine kemkem. Chota kuchota imethaminiwa na Hetias, Oven Fresh Bakery, Gigabyte, Mount Kenya Milk, Clover's Food Products, Velvex, Magic Drink, Pwani Oil, Arenco, Fruit Juice, Masterchef, Toilex, Coolsip, Mika, Wash Ultra, Philos, Prestol, Nivea, My Choice, Ushindi, Fresh Fry, Arimis Jelly, Cabernet Water, Dettol, Ketepa, Meta, Glucose, Coca-Cola, Rosy Tissue, Big Giant, Elbins, Unilever, Fresh, Unga wa Dola, Blue Band na Pasta Star. Shindano la chota kuchota linaanza tarehe 1 Disemba hadi tarehe 10 Februari mwaka 2024.
Hetias Supermarket, a world of choice.
Hi, and welcome to Tujenge Home. Your #1 show when it comes to all things architecture, real estate, property development, interior design. You get it right here on Tujenge Home.
When the food is ready, You want to serve them?
Dinner is served. Yeah. Let's go. Let's go.
All right, welcome back to the program tonight. Let's continue with the news. And still in the thousands of Kenyans made their way to Uhuru Gardens in Lang'ata, Nairobi, a place where the founding father Jomo Kenyatta gave his maiden speech as the first president of the Republic of Kenya. Melvin Getembe gives us all the pomp and color.
Jamhuri at 60.
At around 9:22 a.m. in the morning, all was set for Jamhuri Day celebrations. The president at that time ready to leave his home at State House and head to grace the event at Uhuru Gardens. And just as usual, the president was accompanied by his motorcade. This to say his security was well taken care of. The journey started bright and early with all roads leading to Uhuru Gardens and through State House Road, Kenyatta Avenue, Mombasa Road, and finally Lang'ata Road. Ruto made his way into Uhuru Gardens. Thousands of Kenyans had flocked the garden ready for the 60th Jamhuri Day celebrations, taking seats arranged matching the Kenyan flag colors. Soldiers taking their positions, a sign that the president was about to perform his national obligated duties. Accompanied by the commander of the Defense Forces, Mr. Francis Omondi, then the head of state inspected the parade of honor. The military took this time to display their military might. Entertainment took the better part to showcase some of the activities. Melvin Getembe, Lookuptv, Nairobi.
Kuchomoka kipindi cha vionja mahakamani shasha.
Now, 60 years after independence, like in many countries across the world, there are gains and misses. Today, Kenyans speak honestly about the highs and lows of being Kenyan. Let's take a listen.
Maisha iko ngumu kabisa. Sasa sisi tunaweza kuomba tu kama wanaweza kusaidia maisha ya chini, tusaidike tu. Maisha ya chini, vitu ziteremshwe tu, hata kama changamoto, hata sisi tuangalia tufurahie na maisha yetu, teremshwe vitu chini.
Mimi ni mfanyi biashara wa sweet. Tangu asubuhi nikuje sijauza chochote. Siku tu ni kama hizo siku zingine, hakuna different tumeona. Mimi nasoma, lakini natafuta school fees ya next year ili niweze kusaidia wazazi pia kupunguza school fees. Pia hiyo nini school fees sasa pia iko juu na lazima tuende shule.
According to me, the day is just like a normal day. There's nothing to be excited about. There's nothing to be happy about it. Everything is just normal as usual.
Hakuna kazi ya kufulia watu sipati. Kukula hata kwa nyumba ninalala na hii tukiangaliana haijanulika papa. Sasa nitasema nini?
Sasa ningependa ashughulikie ile ahidi aliahidi. Juu alisema akiingia atarekebisha uga ichukue chini na wananchi wakuwe tu sawa. Sasa wananchi tunahangaika. Kama mimi ni mechanic na hakuna kazi.
Akasema tu akiweka Biblia chini hivi unga itafanya nini? Itateremuka. Baada ya Biblia kuweka tukaambiwa siku 100.
Watu waanze kuwa na wa mrengo huu mwingine ama huu, tupige serikali na bado iko mpya. Tugoje, itatenda mambo mazuri na Kenya itasimama.
Now, away from that, counties across the country joined the celebrations to mark the 60th Jamhuri celebrations. Ebi Kadenyi with this particular roundup.
As President William Ruto presided over the Jamhuri celebrations in Nairobi, celebrations also continued in the counties. Met Governor Hilary Barchok led the colorful event as he defended President Ruto, saying the economic tough times experienced have been occasioned by negligence of the previous government.
Kama vile nimesema, ninajua tuko kwa wakati ngumu. Kiuchumi, we have been having challenges. Na hii challenge ambayo tuko nayo sio challenge ambayo ilianzishwa na hii administration ya Rais Dr. William Samoei Ruto. The problems that we are facing currently, hii shida yote is a problem that was inherited.
Elsewhere, Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru, while leading the celebrations, called on the government to sell the rice from the Mwea Rice Mills Company to the farmers before the company is privatized.
Yani kwa kawaida kazi ya serikali sio kazi ya kuendesha viwanda. Lakini kama nimesema hivyo, nimesikiza watu wa Kirinyaga na nimeongea na wakulima wa Kirinyaga, na kuna watu ambao wanataka kuingiza siasa kwa maneno ya MRM, especially watu ambao hawakuwa wamechaguliwa, kwa sababu wanataka kucontinue kukua relevant.
And in Tharaka Nithi County, Tharaka Nithi Governor Mudhomi Njuki is calling on President William Ruto to institute measures that will cushion Kenyans from the vagaries of the high cost of living, while asking Kenyans to be patient.
Mafuta ndio hiyo bei iko juu. Interest rate hata ile tunaendanga kukopa pesa iko juu. Stima saa nyingine zinakuwa ama zinapotea usiku. Lakini you need to appreciate William Ruto alichukulia hii serikali yake wao. Mandeni ilikuwa mingi. Na yeye bila anafanya saa hii watu wetu wa Tharaka Nithi County kufanya ukarabati. Kujaribu kufanya calibration. He is doing some serious economic reforms. Na wakati unafanya hilo ukarabati zingine kunakuwa na ugumu kidogo.
Finally, in Bungoma County, there was a small turnout of residents to celebrate the day. Led by Governor Kenneth Lusaka, area leaders have urged Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki to address insecurity in the region.
The Bungoma County has stopped in matters of gender-based violence and teenage pregnancy. This is a label that we must reverse and do so collectively. I urge our youths not to destroy your future by exposing yourselves to early pregnancies, HIV infections, or other sexually transmitted diseases. The scripture tells us that good things come to those who wait. So please be patient and you will enjoy your long life.
Ebikadinyi, Lookuptv.
Now let's get sporty tonight. Kenyan athlete led by Faith Kipyegon, who set world records in 1,500 meters, 5,000 meter races, and the mile. Kelvin Kiptum, the marathon world record holder. Faith Cherotich and Emmanuel Wanyonyi, who are the rising athletes, were crowned the best world athletes of the year in different categories by World Athletics Federation in a celebration which was held in Monaco. Now, the Champions League will continue tonight when FC Union Berlin will take on Real Madrid. Manchester United will face off Bayern Munich as Napoli is set to host Braga, among other fixtures on your screen. Right, we take a second break here. When we come back, we'll be having that conversation tonight on taking stock of the nation 60 years after independence. We'll be having that in the next 2 minutes for the next about 25 or 30 minutes. So don't go too far. We'll be back in a moment.
Infinity Industrial Park is one of the largest private industrial parks located along Eastern Bypass, Nairobi. which provides modern infrastructure for smooth operations for industries and business enterprises. Infinity Industrial Park offers world-class amenities and facilities with wide roads, a police station, a power substation, fire station, public transport stage, hospital, and shopping mall. In addition, Infinity Industrial Park also offers CCTV cameras, 24-hour private armed security patrol, sewer, water, fiber optic cable, and 3-phase power connection, added to public utility, canteen, and dining areas. Sail on the golden opportunity to invest in Infinity Industrial Park, fully serviced warehouses at a special price of 3,569 Kenyan shillings per square foot. For more inquiries, visit our website infinityindustrialpark.com.
Niaje? Naitwa Eriko. Kwa tukaunga muogo, watukaunga wimbi, watukaunga mahindi. I'm your guy. After university, sikupata job, so nikako entrepreneur. Kwa entrepreneur ni nini? Nikaanza business cereals. But bado iko imeiva na fit, so nikaanza kucheza tatu, ndio at least nipate pesa kuongeza biz. Alafu guess what? Nikashinda nini? Kisiagi ati nini? Sikia machine. Kumbe mtaa ilikuwa on demand ya kisiagi. Wow. Hapa makastoma nimewavuruta. Profit zinachezea huku juu. Entrepreneur karibu nitilesho ama CEO. Hii busy imejipa mbaya. Pia wewe unaweza kuwa kama mimi. Ujaze busy yako na tatua business makeover.
Hapa ni kujaza na tatua. Nenda kwa M-Pesa, chagua paybill number 150 chagua namba zako 3 za bahati kati ya 0 na 9 ukifuatanisha na neno Lookuptv. Cheza na kati ya shilingi 10 hadi shilingi 1000 na ujaze mfuko na chapaa kila nusu saa.
Over 18s only. Gaming can be addictive. Play responsibly. This message has been approved by the BCLB.
Kipindi ni ukulima ni mali na manjoro. Kumbuka hapa ndipo unajifunza mambo mengi kuhusu ukulima. Kilimo ni uti wa mgongo wa nchi. Na ukiwa na njoro unajifunza. Kumbuka, angalia mwenyewe. Tunakuambia ukitaka kujua tips za ukulima, ungana na sisi kwenye Lookuptv. Every Sunday unatukuta pale saa 10 tunakuonesha kuhusu ukulima. Ukulima wa mimea, ukulima wa ng'ombe, ukulima wa kuku, ukulima wa mbuzi na yote ambayo yanahusiana na ukulima. Kumbuka nini? Kipindi ni ukulima ni mali.
Beautiful, wonderful, glorious. We are having the show that we share entitled Shepherd Voice.
I'm waiting for you to get me to Kenya. That's what I'm waiting
for you.
God is the source of every blessings that flow into your life.
And I know that God is going to bless you and to do a new thing.
Pray.
All right, 60 years ago, on a day like today, Prince Philip, husband to the late Queen Elizabeth, handed over power, making Kenya a republic. 60 years later, what exactly have we gained? What have we missed? We want to take stock of that. 60 years a republic here on the Bottomline KE. Joining me for this conversation is seated just next to me is Robin Karani. Thank you so much for making time.
Thank you for having me.
As we always say, Robin is not a guest here, he's a resident. Next to him is Mary Ariviza, former politician and former member of County Assembly, Nairobi. Thank you so much, Mary, for making time for the conversation tonight. And also, Mary is not new here. We've had her on set for quite numerous occasions. Thank you so much for making time for this conversation tonight.
Thank you.
You had a good Jamhuri celebration today?
We were restful.
All right, let's get into the conversation. Robin, I do want to start with you. 60 years later, right now you're taking stock of how far we've come. It depends with who you ask. There are some people that believe as a nation we've come far and we are going, the future actually looks bright. If they look at what is happening in the country today, they're also very positive. There are those that say, okay, we've come from 5 to 60 years, but still there's nothing to smile about. What's your take on that first?
Well, I do not conform to the school of thought of being hopeless. Mm-hmm. I do have some faith in me.
Okay.
I see things being bright, and I do record with what the president was actually saying today. Mm-hmm. For once, we agreed on some issues, mm-hmm. and I saw that as a moment of reckoning, a moment to call yourself into what Igathe was saying, a kamoshemani, mm-hmm. a meeting with ourselves and our generations. Mm-hmm. If you were to say Kenya was a person, Kenya would be going to retire.
Okay.
What that means is that we have a new generation mm-hmm. that doesn't really understand or really know about that journey. Okay. So yes, you will try to get people, especially of my age, who will rubbish most of what was said. Mm-hmm. But if we are to be honest to ourselves, mm-hmm. I will quote one called George Santayana, who says that if we do not people who do not learn from their history are doomed to repeat it.
Okay, Mary, are you in a celebratory mood for this Jamhuri celebrations as we mark 60 years?
I'm a patriot. Mm-hmm. I love this country. However, there are so many things that are making life not very good for many Kenyans. Okay. The overtaxation, the levies. We know there is a worldwide recession, mm-hmm. but people are cushioning their people. I don't think that is happening here. In spite of that, we're being told that there'll be development and so on. So I'm not a very happy Kenyan, because when I have my neighbors not having food, mm-hmm. when their children cannot be able to go to school in January, because there is a child I have helped to go to school, and the parent actually did double send me an SMS, or clicking on the same SMS, but twice, that the fee is now not 40, it will be 69. That's quite a large percentage. Okay. And by 2002, we had a universal primary education. Mm. So at independence, one of the things that we were to fight, according to Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, was ignorance, mm-hmm. diseases, and I think there is a third one. Ignorance, diseases, and illiteracy, I think. But we are getting back, I think, into that. When I cannot, when it is so expensive, mm-hmm. to be sick in a country, you cannot have health care. When your children cannot go to school, we are actually going back to illiteracy. Mm-hmm. Kenya has been one of the most educated group of people on this continent. But at the rate things are going, we will not be able to have that. And then, of course, ignorance is exactly what is being shown by the very leadership that is there in this country at the moment. Okay. There is a lot of ignorance on who we are, where we have come from, and possibly where we are headed. Okay. I think we'll get to, as we continue the conversation, we'll get into how the government of the day is actually operating. But just looking at what we've had, because we could go back to 2007, and we did have post-election violence, those ethnicity when it comes to division, tribalism, and all that. And that was something that actually did impact the nation greatly. We have been trying to send a message of positivity, trying to tell people, by the way, we are one person. We are one country. We need to love one another. When we come to that particular aspect, do you think we've made strides as far as promoting the patriotism, just like you're putting it?
I will say we have. Mm-hmm. And that would be looking at the history of our political journey. and noting that we went to a de facto single-party democracy without us noticing it until we had an attempted coup, and then it was official. Then we had the struggle that got detainees, and we had the reintroduction of multipartyism in 1992. Then we had the fight for a change of constitution that had started all the way back in 1966, that now came and pushed into 97. Then we had a change of regime for once when the opposition beat the government of the day, that's in 2002. And then we had the defining moment of 2010 when we actually gave ourselves that progressive constitution that we brag about right now. So yes, we have had a very, I would say, beautiful and had some, in a way, journey, but it has been worth it all through. I don't believe we have any calls to be very hopeless about it and to frown upon it, because we have a good story. It's the tough times that makes it sweeter.
What are the lessons that we should be learning from our journey ever since we actually became a republic, and also just our political journey, because that has been one of the issues in the country that has been very divisive to some extent, if you may. So if we are taking stock of all these things, and you are focusing on the political aspect of it, what are some of the lessons that we should be learning and say, okay, moving forward, we are learning from this and we need to do better on this particular front?
So I would say number one, and this has been said a lot of times, and then we get somewhere and then we start bickering about it and going to court. Number one is that we would look at how we had structured our executive from the time of independence up to now. And one of the biggest problems we've had is when we introduced the new constitution, and we had that system that we like to call winner takes it all. And that would mean before then, the people who are vying for president would also vie for member of parliament. So even when they were not the ones who eventually became winner, they would be in parliament and they would hold the position of the leader of opposition in parliament at that time. People who were ministers or cabinet secretaries, if we may say, would also be MPs before they get to that position. And so we tried to be progressive and look to the West and did away with all this and the requirement for them to be members of parliament. And what we ended up having is that we lock out and we make the race for presidency become so tight that it can actually lead to a revolution of some kind just based on the results. And I think that is one of the main lessons that we have had to learn politically, that we need to actually rethink this. In constitution, although there's something we like to call autochthony. Autochthony is the idea that the constitution is supposed to serve its people. It's supposed to have some identity or ingenuity to its people, indigenous to that specific community. Now, when we try to copy everything from the West, that's what we lose. We lose some of the values that were making us authentic. To be us. Yes.
Mary, let me come to you. You're a politician. You've been in the political space. What is it that we are learning? How we used to do things and how you're doing things right now. Moving forward, what is it that we're supposed to be carrying?
Well, moving forward, what we've been, you see, anybody that doesn't know their history, they're actually lost a lot. And I think during electioneering, we were telling people things they were not hearing, and they are not to blame. They are not learning. And now, the very people we were telling things, be careful here and there, be able to choose the right leaders, be able to choose leaders who have you in their interest and not their own stomachs and so on. And they did not hear, and they are now the same people who are now shouting the loudest, oh, and now they are in despair, they are in what? It's very, very important to know that Kenya has come very far. And we are a multi-ethnic country. If we don't take care, this country will not exist. I'm not a prophet of doom, but I can tell from our behavior. People are getting into very important offices that are supposed to perpetuate national unity, then they only keep people in key positions from their own ethnic backgrounds. That is not right for the country's national unity and cohesion. And I sometimes wonder where the National Cohesion Commission is. It's very, very important that when we look at any list of parastatals, when we look at the list of ambassadors, when we look at the list of commissioners in very independent electoral boundaries and commission and so on, we need to see the whole face of Kenya. And that was what the envisioning of the 2010 confusion was trying to correct, so that the winner doesn't take it all. So for the national unity, because really I think, I'm not sure what Honorable Rigathi wanted to say by saying that we need to have a conversation, but it's yes, this country needs to have a conversation. We have to face the big question. Do we need this country? I am very patriotic. That's even today, that's why I'm wearing my rubber band with the national flag colors. However, we need to have a conversation that would help us to understand if we really need this country, what makes a country to work, function, especially that has got diversity, and what makes it not to work. A conversation that we are afraid of, we would rather just sweep it under the carpet, but it's a very, very, very important one.
So let me come to one of the things, because when we are interviewing Kenyans on the streets, some of the things that they actually, whether you are in the mood to celebrate Jamhuri Day, the one thing that is very, uniform across board is the hard economic times. Where did we drop the ball as a nation when it comes to solving the economic predicaments that we actually find ourselves in today, right now?
Okay, I will not say we dropped the ball. I would just say we have what she was calling ignorance and a deficiency of leadership within those who are in power. Why I would say that is because some things can be solved without actually having to go to the extent of hurting Mwananchi. You would hear the president today speak on his speech and talk of making the right decisions, the necessary sacrifices, and tough choices. But in him saying that, he was talking about us getting to a debt distress. Now, I come from the school of thought that we belonged to Jubilee in the beginning. So I do not really get how that comes into play, seeing that you are also in that government that brought us to that, what you're calling debt distress. And then seeing that at the same time, we are still borrowing. It's not like we are not borrowing. We are still borrowing as at where we are. Now, the government of the day, we actually respect it, and we are trying to help and give solutions where we can. But it is not fair that we just sit. I think it is the same president who said that the best way to help a government is by criticizing it objectively. And so I would not be afraid to stand and say that maybe for the G2G deal that the government envisioned to do, it was a failure, and they have not been able to come to the people and say, okay, we hoped it would do this, it didn't do this. And we can take that mistake and we can plan ahead.
Do you feel like maybe to some extent trial and error, do we even have the time to to try out some stuff instead of just taking keen investigation, just finding out whether it's going to work or not?
Now, that's one of the things I was saying in terms of political inclinations and what system we brought from the West. Because now it gives you that power to surround yourselves with election losers first as your cabinet, and then the second option, and then the second thing that it gives you, it completely shuns out any form of criticism against you as a president from where you sit, and everybody is gone. It is just you. So that gives you, once we have this sort of political push and pull where you have a sitting president fighting with the former president, they will always want to do away with programs that are attributed to that former president.
And you're talking about continuity actually, yes, at the beginning of the meeting.
And at the end of it all, what that brings, it's sisi nyasi ndio huwa tunaumia once that happens. Exactly. So that I would say that has been one of the biggest challenges, because there's nothing much. What was Big Four? Big Four was food security, affordable housing, universal healthcare, and manufacturing. That's exactly what they are doing, and calling it bottom up and better and whatever name they would call it. We had Huduma number with the previous government. Now we have Maisha number.
Okay, so the issue to do with continuity, when you actually come in place, you do not want to continue with the projects that you actually found in place, and yet you want to. I saw someone argue, you have a child, the eldest actually goes to bring you a remote from the bedroom, but the youngest does not want that him to take credit, so he says, okay, rudisha alafu uchukue we ulete. So
it's actually even happening here in Nairobi.
Yeah.
That we have now for once we have a tournament from the governor, claimed to be now from the county government, but because it has to have that political inclination, it comes as a foundation under his name. Okay. So it is not a county project. So once he leaves office and another governor comes, if he doesn't want to deal with football, he'll just not do it.
All right, because I'm running out of time, I don't know why we have short time, but listen, Mary, let me come to you on this particular issue to do with the cost of living. And that, like we said, it cuts across board. But to some extent, there are people that don't seem to look at that. It depends with who you ask. There are some people, when you ask, they'll say, okay, we found this at a very bad place, but right now it is looking okay. And when you go to the ground, some people are saying, whatever we are feeling on the ground is totally different from what you guys are saying. What's your take on that?
I, as a mwananchi, I'm not interested in the GDP growing. I don't know 6 what. I want to go to the shop and be able to buy unga at less than 100, as I had been promised. I want to go and buy sugar and make sure those sugar factories are revived. We are having some, actually, I suspect we are having industrial sugars from being imported into this country, and it is dangerous for those of us who are tea lovers, and we don't take tea without sugar. Because Mumias is closed, Kabaras is closed. I know that some people, I come from those areas, they're not functioning at all. And it's a very sad situation. It's very important that we put first things first. GDP growth, I do not know what would, because I think there is a lot of traveling that has been done by this current government, and especially the executive. And it's very, very important for us to know that the traveling does not equal to development. And World Bank, I don't know whatever parameters, because I'm not an economist, but whatever parameters that are being used to measure this development, we really need to be made to understand. Okay. Kenyans are hurting. In fact, hurting is an understatement. They are in pain and hurting very deeply. When you go and buy mboga, I have a place where I alight when I take public means. And there is a mama who sells vegetables, and I think sukuma has got 3 leaves tied together, 3 leaves tied together. And when you see a full man, grown man, removing 10 shillings to get 5 shillings and 5 shillings, and you know that cannot even feed him himself. It's a very sad thing. Sometimes you feel like giving him, but you see, his self-esteem will even go further unless he has asked you. So it's very, very important that we know that Kenyans are hurting, and as people are being taxed, overtaxed, not taxed but overtaxed, I do not know which development we are going to have according to the presidential speech. Because a country anywhere never develops because of overtaxation.
Overtaxation, and that's
the best thing we must do as a people is to make sure our people are not hungry. Uganda, for instance, people can criticize Museveni and they say everything, but Museveni makes sure Ugandans have food. And you know, that country of Uganda is very well endowed with good soil, good rainfall, and so matoke is available and the food is available.
Okay.
It's very important for people to have. This country is not so. We have areas that are predominantly, arid, almost semi-arid areas. And so we need to make sure we have food stability. Shelter, of course, but it should not be forced. It should be voluntary.
Okay.
Because, for instance, if I'm a teacher, and I've been a teacher for very many years before I became a politician, we have Mwalimu Sacco, for instance, and Mwalimu Sacco helps. You get 3 times your loan every 3 years, and you build. So your priority as you go towards retirement is not to get another house, is to make sure you are now getting something else that will be able to be bringing in money as quickly as when you need it.
Okay.
So it's not necessarily a house. It may be. A house is not bad, but I think it should not be forceful.
All right. Robin, because I'm actually running out of time and being told to start wrapping up, I want to give you a few minutes, not a few minutes, few seconds for us to have this conversation. Because if I say a few minutes, it could be 10, but a few seconds so that we actually get to wrap this conversation. So moving forward, and just because we've been taking stock, and also this year, I just want to bring something that happened this year, and that has to do with, the National Dialogue Committee, because they did release a report in just a minute. Did that particular report, because it's kind of helping us, link the past, the present, and also where do we want to go in future as we mark Jamhuri Day, did that report offer a direction, according to you, in where this country needs to go in future? A minute.
In terms of direction, I would say yes. Because as I pointed out before, that issue of the winner-takes-it-all system has some implication on our political maturity moving forward. But in terms of what the report carried or the substance of the report, most Kenyans, including me, would feel that it was a bit unfinished or underwhelming. But again, as we all say, politics is a matter of interest.
Okay.
And it only went to show that those who were there got what they were interested in.
All right. Let me come to you. Does it offer the direction as we mark 60 years of Jamhuri where this republic needs
It would be able, when we did, and I was part of the constitution making at Bomas, when we made that constitution, we said that there was 20% as it was inaugurated, that there was a 20% that was not right. I think those are the things that we need to objectively, not to wait until when we need a certain position to be put in and then we look at it. It isn't bad for us to mend the constitution, but it must not be amended with a person in mind. That way we are not looking forward as Kenyans, because a constitution, when we were in Bomas, we were told, is made by people to correct and make their lives to function. And this constitution must be made with the worst fellow taking that document and using it against you. So we must not look at it because it is benefiting individuals.
Right.
And that's where we go wrong. But I'm also happy about, I think, the gender issue. The affirmative action is very, very, very important. I think it has been covered very well, and we are hoping that they can implement it because it has been being postponed in spite of it being in the Constitution.
All right. All right, I thank you so much for your time. I really hope that we had more time to have this conversation, but we are out of time here on the program tonight. Mary Ariviza, former member of County Assembly in Nairobi County, and Robin Korwani, who is also, by the way, did contest in the last election, and a very active politician here in the city. Thank you so much for your time and making time for this conversation here as we try and take stock of how far we've come as a nation, as far as being a republic is concerned. What are some of the gains? What are some of the misses? And yes, it is a conversation that we'll continue to be having because we are getting older, yes. And yeah, we need to track that. My name is Brian Amwaya. Sign language interpreter tonight was Philista Adundo. Thank you so much for your time and God bless you. Let's do this again, believe next year. Yeah, this is my last show this year. Good night.